Welcome back to Sector 666. Today we are looking at the 3 most terrifying places on Earth. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you enjoyed your stay. The Ridges Complex, now part of Ohio University, was originally home to the Athens Lunatic Asylum. Veterans of the Civil War, children, and those deemed mentally ill were just a few of the patients the hospital served. The state of Ohio redeveloped the land after a period of inactivity. The controversial lobotomy operation may be the most well-known use of the former hospital, but it was also known to have used hydrotherapy, electroshock, constraint, and psychiatric drugs, many of which have now been found to be detrimental. On January 9, 1874, the Athens Lunatic Asylum opened its doors. It was made to accommodate 500 patients. The original 141-acre site would eventually expand to 1,019 acres, encompassing farmed, woodland, and pasture area. Herman Herlin of Cincinnati created the grounds, which would have landscaped hills and trees, ornamental lakes, a spring, and a creek with a cascade. Patients wouldn't be the only ones to appreciate the stunning scenery, the public would also enjoy the vast grounds. Tens of thousands of patients received treatment there over its operational years. About 1,800 of them were buried there. The institution was renamed the Athens Hospital for the insane 2 years after its opening. In the 1950s, the American mental health care sector underwent a profound transformation. Research suggested that people with mental illnesses were not inherently dangerous to their societies. Inhumane, brutal, and unneeded operations like lobotomies and electroshock therapy came to the general public's attention. Because of the availability of psychoactive medications for treating mental diseases and the increasing prominence of psychological therapy, most patients could be treated without being interned in a prison-like institution. As a result, the asylum suffered throughout the second part of the 20th century, like many others, and it closed in 1993. Although some patients and employees moved to the Southeast Psychiatric Hospital, a recently built facility, when the shift took place in 1993, the state hospital continued to operate in Athens. The Athens Psychiatric Hospital, which can be seen from the asylum, has been renamed Appalachian Behavioral Healthcare. It should come as no surprise that the structures of this old asylum are allegedly haunted. Margaret Schilling's ghost is one of the most well-known ones. Margaret Schilling went missing on December 1, 1978. 42 days later, on January 12, 1979, a maintenance worker found her body in a sealed, long-vacant unit previously used for patients with infectious diseases. She was discovered entirely naked with her garments neatly folded next to her body, even though testing revealed that she had died of heart failure. The lasting stain that her body left behind is more interesting. Despite several attempts to remove it, a trace of her body and hair can still be visible on the floor. Her soul is believed to have appeared peering down from the window of the room where her body was discovered, has been seen attempting to flee, and has been spotted wandering other parts of the building at night. Additionally, others claim that she is not alone. Visitors have reported seeing ghostly figures standing in the former hospital's vacant wings, hearing voices that don't belong to anybody, hearing gurneys squeak, seeing strange lights, and hearing cries that echo off the walls. Other former patients are reportedly rumored to be still living there. Rumors of the ghosts of patients who are still chained up in the basement are even more unsettling. These numerous souls are believed to be individuals that perished or suffered at the hands of asylum employees. According to legend, the cemetery is also home to shadow people and strange lights. A circle formed by the grave's linear shapes in one location is considered a gathering place for witches. Stull is an unincorporated settlement in Kansas's Douglas County. The town, established in 1857, was first known as Deer Creek before being renamed in honor of Sylvester Stull, its sole postmaster. In the neighborhood, only a few buildings were still standing as of 2018. The Stull neighborhood had only 31 residents in 1912, and roughly 50 people were living there at its peak. Living in the settlement throughout the 20th century, Christcraft recalls that it was peaceful and easy, sometimes even boring to live there. During the 20th century, two significant tragedies hit the settlement. First, a small child named Oliver Baumeier died after becoming lost in a field that his father was burning. Oliver's terrible demise led to the legend that one would go to hell if one stood on his gravestone. The second happened when a man went missing and was later discovered hanging from a tree. Only a few homes, the newer church, and roughly 20 people remain in the tiny community. Emmanuel Hill in Stull is the site of several legends and odd stories related to an old church that is in disrepair and an overgrown cemetery. For years, rumors of witches, ghosts, and paranormal events have surrounded the ancient cemetery. The University Daily Kansan published an article in November 1974 claiming that Stull was haunted by legends of diabolical, supernatural happenings and that the devil appeared there twice a year, once on Halloween and once on the spring equinox. This helped to spread the rumors about the cemetery. People began to claim that the nearby evangelical Emmanuel Church ruin was possessed by the devil and that the cemetery was one of the 7 gates to hell. It is also alleged that the Pope changed the course of his private plane during a trip to Colorado in the 1990s to avoid flying over the unholy land of Stull. The legend lured thrill seekers to the cemetery in the years that followed the publication of the University Daily Kansan article, and they would claim that strange and unsettling occurrences, such as noises and memory lapses, had happened to them. This sparked additional rumors that witches and the devil haunted the town. As a result, going to the cemetery on Halloween or the equinox to see the devil became a common pastime for young people, particularly Lawrence or Topeka High School and college students. But were the rumors accurate? Not according to the locals of Stull, who claimed to have never heard the stories before. Such things being uttered about their town puzzled, irritated, and outright angered them. The pastor of the new church in Stull, directly across the street from the old one, said he thought university students had made up the tales. The Tuol Sleng Genocide Museum is located in Phnom Penh. The location is a former secondary school used by the Khmer Rouge regime, the term used to refer to members of the Communist Party of Kampuchea, as Security Prison 21 from 1975 until its collapse in 1979. Tuol Sleng, one of 150 to 196 torture and execution facilities set up by the Khmer Rouge, housed an estimated 20,000 prisoners from 1976 to 1979. Prisoners were photographed upon entry and made to provide thorough autobiographies that included everything from their early years through their incarceration. They were then made to strip to their underwear, and their belongings were seized. After that, the captives were brought to their cells. Those sent to the smaller cells had their hands and feet tied to the concrete floor or walls. All the people housed in the giant mass cells were chained together with heavy iron bars. The inmates slept with their heads in opposing directions while the shackles were fastened to alternating bars. They slept on the ground without mats, mosquito nets, or blankets. They were not allowed to converse with one another. In prison, the day started at 4:30 a.m. when inmates were told to undress for inspection. The guards looked to see whether the detainees had any hidden objects they could use to commit suicide or if the shackles were unfastened. The guards were cautious when inspecting the shackles and cells because numerous inmates had succeeded in killing themselves over the years. 2 meals per day included a weak soup of leaves and 4 little spoonfuls of rice porridge for the captives. Drinking water without first obtaining permission from the guards resulted in harsh beatings. The prisoners were also hosed down every 4 days. The prison maintained strict rules, and convicts who disobeyed were subjected to brutal beatings. Almost all decisions in prison had to be approved by a guard. Furthermore, the inmates were sometimes forced to consume human feces and urine. Most inmates at S21 spent 2 to 3 months there. However, numerous high-ranking Khmer Rouge cadres were detained for a longer period. All convicts were taken away for questioning within 2 or 3 days of being hauled to S21. At Tuol Sleng, A system of torture was used to get inmates to confess to whatever crimes their captors had accused them of. In addition to using various tools, prisoners were frequently beaten and tortured with electric shocks, hot metal implements, and hanging. Some detainees were strangled with plastic bags or hacked with knives. Other methods for confessions included pulling out fingernails while pouring alcohol on the wounds, holding prisoners' heads underwater, using the waterboarding technique. It has been proven that certain convicts were used in medical research. There is unequivocal proof that organs were removed from people in Cambodia without anesthesia. Kang Kekyu, the camp's director, has confirmed the training and research for surgery were done on living detainees. Blood draining was also carried out. In the first year of S-21's operation, bodies were buried close to the facility. However, the cadres ran out of burial sites by the end of 1976. As a result, the prisoner and his family were transported to the Boang Choang Ek extermination facility, located 15 kilometers outside Phnom Penh. A bunch of teenagers commanded by a comrade Teng slaughtered them there. Because ammunition was expensive and scarce, people beat them to death with iron bars, pickaxes, machetes, and numerous other improvised weapons. The troops from S-21 who had led the detainees to their deaths then buried them in graves that could hold as few as 6 bodies or as many as 100. There were just 12 known survivors at Tuol Sleng out of an estimated 20,000 prisoners, 7 adults and 5 kids. Shortly after the liberation, one youngster passed away. Only Chum Mei, Bu Meng, and Chim Meth are believed to be alive as of mid-September 2011, together with the 4 children. All 3 said that their captors kept them alive because they possessed abilities they thought would be valuable. 10 regulations inmates were to abide by while incarcerated were explained to them when they were first transported to Tuol Sleng. The following is a translation of what is currently displayed at the Tuol Sleng Museum. The poor grammar is a result of the translation from the original Khmer. You must answer accordingly to my question. Don't turn them away. Don't try to hide the facts by making pretexts this and that. You are strictly prohibited to contest me. Don't be a fool, for you are a chap who dare to thwart the revolution. You must immediately answer my questions without wasting time to reflect. Don't tell me either about your immoralities or the essence of the revolution. While getting lashes or electrification, you must not cry at all. Do nothing, sit still, and wait for my orders. If there is no order, keep quiet. When I ask you to do something, you must do it right away without protesting. Don't make pretext about Kampucheakram in order to hide your secret or traitor. If you don't follow all the above rules, you shall get many lashes of electric wire. If you disobey any point of my regulations, you shall get either 10 lashes or 5 shocks of electric discharge. Neighbors reported having heard shackle rattling and terrified screams coming from inside the former prison. In addition, countless stories of ghostly activity began circulating from within the museum. Many museum employees, including cleaners, tour guides, and security guards, particularly those working the night shifts, claimed to have seen the hauntings. One night, I woke up to go to the bathroom when I saw a black figure bending towards me, and that made my hair stand on end. I was terrified. I climbed back into my bed and waited until the morning to tell my colleagues. Nong Savan, a security guard who both worked and lived at the Genocide Museum, said to the Phnom Penh Post back in 2016. There's also the report of a security guard who heard the shower start after seeing a shadowy figure enter the toilet door. There was nobody there when he arrived to investigate. On the Khmer New Year, the Chum Ben Festival, and Visak Bokia Day, they hold blessing ceremonies at the Tuol Sleng Museum, where they invite government officials and monks to offer a prayer for the victims.